Stop what you are doing and listen. Truly listen, because the next few minutes will determine if you spend the rest of your life as a drifter or as a king. Look around you. The world is full of men who wish for wealth and beg for a lucky break. But the universe does not respond to beggars. It responds to commanders. There is a specific kind of stuck that you know all too well. You work hard, you read the books, and you set the goals. You put in the hours while the rest of the world sleeps, and yet the breakthrough you were promised never seems to arrive. It feels as though you are driving with the emergency brake pulled tight. You write down your plans on January 1st. You swear that this time will be different. You build a 6-month success plan in your mind, and you feel a rush of motivation. But by week 3, the fire is gone. The old habits return. The weight on your shoulders feels heavier than ever before. You start to wonder if you are simply meant to be average. Important note: the wisdom you are about to hear requires absolute focus. Clear your mind before we begin. I am here to tell you a fundamental truth. This is not a lack of effort. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a programming problem. Deep within the architecture of your subconscious mind, there is an outdated script. It runs on a quiet loop and sabotages every conscious step you take toward wealth. Your subconscious is a tireless contractor. It builds exactly what it is instructed to build. When you set a massive goal, your conscious mind is excited, but your subconscious mind looks at the blueprint and rejects it. It rejects it because the blueprint does not match your deep-seated beliefs about yourself. Every time you try to push forward, your internal gatekeeper pulls you back. It tells you that success is dangerous. It whispers that you are not ready and you need more time. You think you are fighting the economy or your circumstances, but you are actually fighting your own mind. And the subconscious will always win a battle of willpower. This is the invisible enemy. It is the ghost in the machine that ruins every 6-month plan you have ever created. You try to use discipline to force your way through. You try to wake up earlier and work harder. But applying conscious effort over a subconscious block is like painting over a rotten wall. The rot will always bleed through. Most men spend their entire lives in this cycle. They are exhausted by the drift. They are tired of playing the victim to unseen forces. They build a new plan every year only to watch it crumble. They begin to accept the lie that greatness is reserved for someone else. They settle for a life of quiet desperation and call it reality. But you are not most men. You clicked this because a part of you refuses to surrender. You felt the call to become the architect of destiny. You know that there is a massive gap between the life you are living and the life you are capable of commanding. The pain of staying the same has finally become greater than the fear of change. We must diagnose the root of your failure. It is not because you are lazy. It is not because you lack talent or intelligence. Your failure is the mathematical result of a corrupted operating system. You have been operating on a software written by your fears, your past traumas, and the limitations imposed upon you by a mediocre society. The drifter accepts this corrupted software as his true identity. When he fails, he blames the world. He looks for a magic pill or a quick fix to change his external reality. But the Creator understands a different law. The Creator knows that the outer world is merely a mirror of the inner world. To change the reflection, you must change the source. You cannot outwill a misprogrammed mind. You must rewrite it entirely. This requires you to step into the role of the sovereign commander. You must take absolute authority over the thoughts you allow into your mind. You must stop consuming the garbage that society feeds you. You must stand guard at the door of your own consciousness. Think about the last time you tried to change your life. You relied on emotion. You watched a video. You felt inspired. And you took massive action for 3 days. But emotion is a fragile fuel. It burns bright and it burns fast. When the storm comes and the motivation fades, you fall back to the highest level of your subconscious programming. That is why your past goals collapsed. You built a temporary structure on a foundation of sand. When the wind blew, the entire thing washed away. We are going to stop building on sand today. We are going to pour solid concrete. We are going to establish a new mental architecture that makes failure mathematically impossible over the next 6 months. This is not about trying harder. Trying implies the possibility of failure. This is about deciding. When you decide, you cut off all other possibilities. You align your conscious desires with your subconscious engine. And when those two forces pull in the exact same direction, you become an unstoppable force. The universe has no choice but to yield. For the next 180 days, you will not rely on hope. Hope is the battle cry of the weak. You will rely on law. You will understand that your mind is the gateway to every single thing you desire. If you protect the gate, you protect your future. If you leave it unguarded, you invite poverty, exhaustion, and endless frustration into your home. I want you to feel the weight of this moment. You are standing at a crossroads. Down one path lies the same cycle of temporary effort and inevitable defeat. Down the other path lies the mastery of your fate. But you cannot walk the path of the Creator while holding on to the habits of the drifter. You must let the old version of yourself die today. Now we must establish the foundation of this transformation. Let us look at a brutal reality that most men refuse to accept. You sacrifice your sleep and you grind through the weekends. But the harder you push forward, the more distant your ultimate vision becomes. Why does this happen? Why does massive effort often lead to massive burnout instead of massive wealth? Listen to me carefully. The answer is simple, but it will challenge everything society has taught you. The universe works by law and not by a clock. You believe that more physical action equals more results, but action taken from a state of fear and scarcity will only multiply your current miseries. Your mind is the true engine of creation. Let us examine the mind of the drifter. The drifter operates completely on blind reaction. He wakes up and immediately checks his phone to see what the world demands of him today, allowing external chaos to become his internal reality. He never stops to command his absolute focus. He just drifts along the violent current of modern society. When the drifter sets a 6-month goal, he relies on frantic activity because he desperately wants to see tangible results by tomorrow afternoon. And when the results do not appear instantly, he begins to panic. He changes his strategy every 2 weeks because he lacks the quiet discipline of patience. His mind is a chaotic storm of doubt and deep desperation. But the Creator understands a totally different mechanism. The Creator knows that every thought is a seed and every action is water. Your current reality is simply the harvest of the thoughts you planted 6 months ago. If you look at your life right now and you do not like the harvest, you must go back to the soil and completely change the seeds you are planting today. This brings us to the fundamental law of gestation. Everything in nature requires a specific amount of time to grow into maturity. A bamboo tree builds an invisible root system for years before it shoots into the sky. Your mind operates on this exact same principle. A 6-month success plan is not a frantic race to the finish line. You are establishing the massive mental infrastructure for an empire. During this invisible season, the drifter surrenders. He looks around and sees no immediate proof of his impending success. Because he requires external validation to keep going, he quits right before the major breakthrough and returns to the safety of his familiar miseries. But the architect of destiny expects the silence. He knows that the most profound growth always happens in the dark. To survive this 6-month period, you must become a ruthless mental gatekeeper. You cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought. When doubt enters your mind, you do not entertain it for a second. You identify it as a dangerous intruder and you cast it out instantly. The drifter sits down and has a long conversation with his fears while the builder simply closes the door. This is where most people fail their own ambitions. You cannot hold on to the identity of a struggling victim while asking the universe for absolute abundance, because those two frequencies will never match. You must act and speak as if the reality you desire is already yours. You must walk with the cold calmness of a sovereign king, even when your bank account is empty. This is not philosophy. That is rigid law. When you hold a clear and definite picture in your mind for 6 months, your reticular activating system begins to scan the environment for new opportunities. It filters out the useless noise and highlights the exact people and resources you need to build your vision. The drifter misses these opportunities because his filter is permanently tuned to lack. Now, let me make this plain. You have the exact same mental machinery as the billionaires and the great titans of history. The only difference is how you choose to program it. The universe rewards decisive momentum, and a wrong decision made with absolute certainty is always better than no decision at all. Hesitation is a mental disease that will slowly kill your greatest dreams. Stop and think about this for a moment. What is controlling your mind today? Is it a clear vision of your future, or is it the heavy memory of your past failures? If you continue to replay the painful memories of your past, you will simply recreate those exact same circumstances in your inevitable future. You must sever the emotional cord that connects you to your previous defeats. We return to the question I asked at the beginning. Why does massive effort lead to burnout for the masses? It is because they take frantic action from a place of deep panic. They are moving fast in the completely wrong direction, while the creator moves with deliberate intention and aligns his thoughts first. His physical actions eventually become entirely effortless. Over the next 6 months, your reality will severely test you. It will throw massive obstacles in your path to see if you will revert back to the weak mindset of the drifter. It will send you heavy financial stress and very lonely nights. Do not view these challenges as cruel punishments. View them as the brutal resistance training required to build a titan of industry. Your subconscious is listening to every word you speak during this intense trial. When you complain, you are placing a firm order for more hardship and pain. When you speak with authority, you are commanding an entirely new reality into existence. Let the drifters gossip and complain about the unfairness of the world while you remain completely focused on building your own empire. This fundamental shift in perspective is the dividing line between those who win and those who merely exist. You now understand the hidden mechanism of the invisible season, and you know why the old way failed and why the ultimate law demands your patience. But understanding the law is only the first step of this journey. Let us look to the titans who walked this exact path before you. How did a man with no education and no money build the largest steel empire in history? He did not rely on luck because he knew it was a myth. He used a specific mental protocol that you can easily replicate tonight. Let us look to the great example of Andrew Carnegie. He did not possess a magical advantage from birth, but he understood the mechanical laws of the human mind perfectly and used them to his absolute advantage. Carnegie arrived in America with absolutely nothing in his pockets. He worked in a dirty boiler room for pennies a day. The physical reality around him was incredibly bleak and exhausting, but his mental architecture was completely different from the other workers, and he refused to accept their miserable poverty as his final destiny. While the drifters complained about the heat, Carnegie was building an empire in his thoughts. He knew that the physical world is painfully slow to change. You can work physically for 10 years and remain entirely broke. Carnegie realized that if he could hold a dominant thought for 6 months, his reality would shift. He focused his mind with brutal intensity while the masses simply survived. He understood that mental transformation operates on a much faster timeline because human thoughts are not bound by the heavy resistance of the physical world. He wrote down his definite chief aim and he read it aloud every single day. He did not hope for a better job or wish for a small raise. He commanded wealth through absolute faith and ruthless repetition. The conscious mind is a guard dog, but the subconscious mind is a fertile garden. Carnegie bypassed the aggressive guard dog by repeating his command every night, and he did this until the garden completely accepted his new seed of wealth. This is not just a motivational story from the past. Modern science now completely validates everything that Carnegie did instinctively. We refer to this biological mechanism as the science of neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a fixed block of concrete. It is a highly adaptable network of electrical pathways, and science proves that you can physically rewire those pathways in exactly 180 days. Every time you have a thought, a tiny electrical pulse travels through your brain. Repeat the same negative thought every day, and you carve a canyon in your mind. Your thoughts automatically flow into that canyon because it is the path of least resistance. This is exactly why you feel completely trapped in your old destructive habits today. The canyon is simply too deep for you to climb out without a deliberate strategy, so your brain forces you to repeat the exact same failures. Establish a new, definite purpose, and you force the electricity to find a new path. At first, this new mental direction is incredibly difficult and exhausting. The old canyon pulls at your energy and begs you to return to familiar anxiety. You will feel a massive physical resistance pushing against you. But if you hold the firm line for 6 consecutive months, the old neural pathways will begin to slowly starve and eventually die off completely. Your brain contains a powerful biological mechanism called the reticular activating system. This specific system acts as a ruthless bouncer for your conscious awareness. It quietly deletes millions of pieces of useless information every single second. If you act like a victim, this system hides every single opportunity from your eyes. It only allows you to see the things that match your most dominant beliefs, which means your current reality is just a reflection of your past thoughts. Rewrite your subconscious blueprint, and you give this system a brand new set of instructions. You order it to look for wealth and power. It stops filtering for failure and suddenly begins to highlight the exact resources you need. People call this a coincidence or a lucky break. But there is absolutely no coincidence in a highly disciplined mind, because every single event happens exactly according to strict universal law. Carnegie did not know the modern scientific terms, but he applied the laws flawlessly. He knew the mind cannot distinguish between a real event and an imagined one. Imagine your success for 6 months and your brain physically alters its structure to match. You literally become a completely new man on a biological and energetic level. The changes are not just philosophical ideas, but they are actual structural shifts in the deep tissue of your own physical brain. The drifter refuses to do this invisible work. He thinks that sitting quietly and directing his thoughts is a massive waste of time. He would rather run around in blind panic because it feels like actual physical progress. But running in the completely wrong direction only gets you lost much faster than before. You must stop moving your tired feet in frantic circles, and you must start directing your profound mental energy toward a single definite target. We see this exact same pattern in the lives of Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. They faced massive public failures that would have destroyed an average man completely. But they possessed a mental shield that deflected all external criticism and deep doubt. They refused to let the harsh opinions of the masses penetrate their inner sanctum. They understood that temporary defeat is just raw data, and they used that precious data to rapidly correct the course of their powerful minds. 6 months is the window required to kill the old self and resurrect the king. It takes about 30 days to break the initial resistance of your old habits. It takes another 90 days to firmly establish the brand new neural pathways. This specific timeline is an absolute law of nature, and the final 60 days are absolutely required to lock that new frequency deep into your subconscious identity forever, making you totally bulletproof. Your environment will try to drag you back to the old familiar frequency. The people around you will notice that you are changing, and they will feel uncomfortable. They will tell you to be realistic and to lower your massive expectations. Never lower your massive standards to make a weak drifter feel comfortable in your presence. You must remember that their reality is built entirely on fear, while your new reality is being actively built on sovereign universal law. Every titan of industry had to isolate himself mentally from the frightened masses. They created an impenetrable fortress around their daily thoughts. Build that exact same fortress if you want to survive the gestation period of your dreams. Protect your glorious vision at all absolute costs. Do not ever let the toxic opinions of others poison the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, because that soil belongs only to you. You now know the mechanism that built huge empires and rewired human brains. The drifter will hear this deep science and choose to completely ignore it. The master will use it tonight to secure his amazing future. Which one are you? You cannot pretend that you do not know the strict rules of the game anymore. The incredible secret of the great titans is now sitting quietly in your own hands, and what you do with it next will determine your entire destiny. Knowing the law is useless if you do not have a rigorous method of execution. You need a daily structure to apply this intense mental force. Protecting your fragile energy is only step one. Now you must learn how to multiply it every single night before you sleep. And that brings us directly to the actual physical ritual you will perform for the next 6 months to ensure your massive victory. The time for theory is completely over. You have heard the science and you understand the ancient laws. Now we must make this aggressively practical. You cannot just sit there and nod your head because passive agreement does not build a lasting empire. Action is the only language that the universe truly respects. I am going to give you the exact protocol. You will execute this for the next 180 days. There are absolutely no exceptions and no days off. If you skip a single day, you are telling your subconscious mind that you are still a weak drifter. Do you want to remain a victim, or do you want to take total control today? Step 1 is the establishment of your definite chief aim. The drifter has a dozen scattered goals and achieves absolutely nothing. The creator has one single target. You must identify the one massive objective that will completely change your reality. Write it down on a physical piece of paper tonight, and absolutely do not type it on your phone. Physical ink forces your brain to slow down. It translates invisible thought into physical matter. Your definite chief aim must be incredibly precise. You do not ask the universe for more money because that is a very weak command. You demand a specific, exact amount, and you state exactly what you will give in return for it. Say this aloud every single morning. I am the master of my fate. Say it until your body actually believes it. Let the vibration of these words rewire your mind. Read your written name with absolute authority before you walk out the door, because you are handing the daily blueprint to your subconscious contractor. Do not hesitate. Step 2 is cosmic housekeeping. This is the law of ruthless elimination. You cannot build a new empire on top of toxic garbage. Look closely at the people you spend your time with every single week. Are they building an empire alongside you, or are they just complaining about the terrible economy and drinking their weekends away? You must cut the dead weight immediately. I do not care if you have known them for 10 years. If they operate on a frequency of fear, they are pulling you down. The Creator requires total isolation from the negative noise of the masses. You must guard your mental environment like a massive fortress under heavy siege. Stop watching the daily news. It is scientifically engineered to keep you in a constant state of panic. Panic makes you a very obedient consumer. You are no longer a consumer because you have finally decided to become a builder. A builder has no time to care about the manufactured dramas of the outside world, so focus entirely on your own mission. Step 3 is the most critical part of this entire protocol. It is the sacred night ritual. Your brain does not shut off when you close your eyes. Your subconscious mind works tirelessly through the entire night, and the emotions you feel right before sleep are the exact blueprints you hand to your internal contractor. If you go to sleep in fear, you spend 8 hours building a reality of scarcity. You wake up exhausted because your mind was fighting ghosts all night. We are going to hijack that system completely. For 15 minutes before you sleep, you must turn off every single screen. You must sit in total silence. Silence is your absolute weapon. During these 15 minutes, you will visualize your definite chief aim as a completed fact. You do not wish for it to happen tomorrow. You feel the deep gratitude of it already being done. You feel the heavy weight of the cash in your hands, and you feel the profound respect of your peers as you trick the brain entirely. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between a real event and an intense visualization. It accepts whatever you give it during that sleepy state. You are literally programming your own massive success while you rest. You wake up the next morning with random ideas and powerful sudden urges, which proves that the internal system is finally working. Step 4 is to act as if you are already the king. Your current bank account might be completely empty right now. Your current job might be absolutely miserable. But you do not let the current physical reality dictate your daily posture. You must walk into that miserable job with the cold calmness of a self-made millionaire. How does a millionaire walk? He does not rush and he does not panic. He speaks slowly and he looks people directly in the eye. You must adopt the physical mannerisms of the person you intend to become. When you change your physical posture, your brain releases the exact chemicals of confidence to force the shift instantly. This is the difference between those who live with purpose and those who just drift. The masses wait for success to happen so they can finally feel good. The 1% feel like absolute winners first, and then massive success is forced to catch up to them. You must become a magnetic force for wealth before the wealth actually arrives. This 6-month plan is simple but extremely demanding. It requires a level of strict discipline that most average men simply refuse to tolerate. They will try it for 3 days, and then they will quickly surrender to their old comfortable habits. Are you going to be one of them? Will you let your old fears win again? I demand better from you today. Write down your aim. Eliminate the toxic noise. Program your mind before sleep and walk like a true conqueror. If you execute these 4 strict commands, you will become completely unrecognizable in 180 days. That is not a motivational promise, but rather an absolute guarantee backed by undeniable universal law. You now possess the physical tools. The ritual loop is completely exposed, and the drifter has absolutely nowhere left to hide. But these powerful tools are entirely useless in the hands of a coward. You must make the conscious choice to pick them up right now. The universe is watching your next move very closely, so do not fail this ultimate test. The world is waiting for you. It is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It is waiting for a conscious creator who has chosen to rise above the mental noise. That man is inside of you right now, and it is finally time to wake him up. You have played the victim for far too long. You blamed the economy, and you blamed your circumstances. But you are the sovereign commander. You must say to yourself that this pathetic chapter is completely over. No more small thinking. No more letting fear write the terrible script of your daily life. The drifter dies in this exact room tonight. He does not get to follow you into tomorrow. You will not tolerate his pathetic excuses anymore because your ultimate destiny demands absolute perfection. Break free from the heavy shackles of negative thinking once and for all. Your mind is the ultimate gateway. Your thoughts are the only key, and your destiny is patiently waiting. Never again let a negative thought decide your future. There is absolutely no neutral thought in this universe. Every thought is either pushing you forward or it is pulling you violently backward. It is either moving you toward freedom or reinforcing your mental bondage. The man who realizes this strict law begins to treat his thoughts as deadly weapons. They are not cheap toys for your daily entertainment. You are exactly one decision away from massive momentum. You are one belief away from profound clarity. But that monumental shift will never happen unless you aggressively make it happen. I do not invite you to decide. I command you to decide. Look at the 6 months ahead of you. This specific period will be a brutal war against your own internal limitations. The masses will laugh at your sudden daily discipline. They will try to drag you back down to their miserable level because your shining light exposes their deep darkness. Let them laugh at you. You are building an invisible empire while they are wasting their precious lives on cheap distractions. Stay completely cold. You must become entirely undeniable in your daily actions. You must become an unstoppable force of pure, focused energy. Look closely at your own hands. These are the strong hands of the builder. They do not beg and they do not plead. They carefully construct reality from the invisible fabric of your highest thoughts. Your old life is officially dead. Your new existence begins in this very second. Every single time you feel the urge to quit, You must remember the heavy price of returning to the drift. The drift offers fake comfort, but it demands your soul in return. Do not sell your massive potential for a few hours of lazy sleep. The pain of strict discipline weighs only ounces, but the heavy pain of lifelong regret weighs thousands of tons. You must choose your pain wisely. The universe is a completely neutral force. It does not care if you are tired. It does not care if you had a very hard childhood. It only responds to the exact frequency you project into it. If you project absolute certainty, the universe will literally move mountains to deliver your desired result. If you project fear, it will bury you under a mountain of new problems. You are the sole cause. Understand this profound truth right now. Your subconscious mind is a sacred temple. You cannot allow dirty thoughts to walk freely through the holy corridors of your brain. Every time you entertain a doubt, you are letting a thief steal your future wealth. You must stand at the heavy gates of your temple with a drawn sword. You must strike down any thought that does not serve your ultimate vision. The 1% of men who rule this world do not possess superior intelligence. They simply possess superior mental control. They refuse to let the chaotic outside world dictate their quiet internal state. When the economy crashes, they remain completely calm. When their enemies attack, they remain totally silent. They know that reacting with anger only gives away their precious power. They retain all their power to build. Before you write your vow, look at the man in the mirror. You must forgive him for his past failures. He did not know the supreme laws of the mind, and he operated blindly in a world designed to break him. But ignorance is no longer an excuse. You hold the master key in your hand tonight. Your past does not dictate your future unless you consciously allow it to do so. The slate is entirely clean. You did not click this lesson by random accident. You came here as a man exhausted by the drift and tired of playing the victim to unseen circumstances. But today you have remembered who you really are. You are the absolute gatekeeper of your own thoughts. From this night forward, you act entirely independently of fleeting motivation. You are a titan in the making. Stand up right now. Claim your massive throne. You are the true architect of destiny, and the world has absolutely no choice but to bend to your disciplined mind. The universe does not negotiate with weak men. It simply obeys the strict commands of the sovereign master. Speak your demands with heavy authority. Expect the massive harvest to arrive exactly on time. You are no longer a consumer of reality. You are the sole creator of it. When the storm comes over the next 6 months, you will not run for cheap shelter. You will stand firmly in the center of the fierce storm, and you will command the winds to stop. That is the true power of a mind that has been completely purged of human doubt. The time for aimless drifting is officially over. You have heard the ancient law. You now know that every excuse you have ever made was nothing but a fragile shadow. Tonight, as you close your tired eyes, you must make a final choice. Will you return to the chaos of the masses, or will you step into the quiet power of the 1%? If you are ready to command your destiny, you must seal your decision right now. Write your 6-month definite purpose in the comments below. Let those precise words be the contract you sign with the universe. These will not be just empty words on a screen. This is your sacred vow. This is the moment you draw a permanent line in the sand. Leave your ultimate vow in the comments below to seal your fate. Let the entire world see exactly what you demand from this life. Subscribe to this channel if you walk this powerful path. Return to this video every single day until your reality bends to your absolute will. Listen to this heavy lesson again and again until it is permanently installed in your brain. Make these ancient principles the only voice you tolerate in your head. Do not ever hesitate. Hesitation is the sudden death of your destiny. The drifter will close this video and forget everything I just said. The creator will take immediate physical action and change his life forever. Make your final decision right now. Command your life today.